Hello, my name is Akinkunmi Awotundu. I'm a travel consultant and lead tour consultant at Tourist 27 Limited. You're welcome to my masterclass. Today, we will be talking extensively on travels, and we're picking one of the components of travels, which is visa processing. The commonest way to define travel is under transportation, which comes as movement from a point to another. Now, for so many people, travel to them is only when they go out of Nigeria or out of their country. However, travel can happen even in local places. If you go from Lagos to Ibadan, you've traveled. If you go from Ikeja to the island in Lagos, you've literally traveled because you've moved from one point to another. Now, in our own industry or in our own space as travel consultants, one of the things that we do and we help people do is make travel easy for them to buy and easy for them to understand. That's why the word consultant comes into play, because people can consult us, they can ask questions on guidance, and we do justice to them for that. So today, speaking about visas is only ideal that it comes at a time like this, because basically across the world and more in Nigeria, in the last 5 years, going to 6 years now, we've created what we now call the Jackpot syndrome, where everybody wants to leave out of uncertainties. I mean, it's been happening years before now, but it became more obvious and more frequent since 2020. COVID happened. We didn't know what was going to happen to the world. We were shut down like 5 months. Then after, people started to move. UK, US, Canada, which ironically are three of the countries that Nigerians visit the most. You understand? So you can typify Nigerians to where we go. UK, US, South Africa, Canada, Dubai. So, visas, what are they? What do they stand for? Visa or a visa is one of the components of travel. When you put a tour together or when you want to travel, cut for places where Nigerians can go for free based on our passport access. I mean, we have a passport index which shows you every country you can go as a Nigerian, either by visa, on arrival, visa free, or actual visas. But unfortunately, most people don't even know. For some travels, the first thing to get or to put in place is your visa, if the country you're heading to requires one, right? Now, for such countries, the first thing to do is know what the requirements are. In most cases, the country wants to know what you have, what you're presenting to them, and what you would show them to say that in the country where I live, I'm actually fine. I'm doing well. I can survive. One of such reasons is because they don't want you to get to their country and become a problem to them, or you become a nuisance. So they prefer that they tell you what they require from you to bring forward to them. Then they grant you the visa. That is for actual visas. For visas on arrival, you fly into the country with still some requirements. You need to have your flight ticket that shows a return trip. You need to have an hotel in place, either paid or reservation made, which they can confirm. Then you need cash at hand. When you get your flight itinerary planned and everything, per country, when you arrive, the process confirms that everything they want you to bring to them, which is your itinerary plan, your accommodation, and cash at hand. You now pay for that visa upon arrival. Per country, it varies. Nigeria used to have visas on arrival before the new Minister of Interior made it e-visas. So people could easily come into Lagos or Abuja or Port Harcourt or Kano, where we have international airports that are functional, and upon arrival, they get their visas done. But for some of those cases, you have to have paid ahead before you come into Nigeria. So there's a receipt showing that you've paid ahead. But for some countries, you pay cash upon arrival. That's for visas on arrival. Then for visa-free countries, most of them have what we call bilateral agreements with Nigeria. It happens in different countries across the world. But for us, mainly all our neighbor countries within West Africa, we can fly there without visas. And you have at least 90 days stay period in those countries. So when you plan such trips, like Ghana for instance, I can from here decide that, oh, I want to party in Ghana tonight, it's a Friday. I have my box parked in the car and I just head out to the airport. I don't need to go to any embassy or any commission or any consulate, buy my ticket, book an hotel or an apartment as the case may be, have cash at hand and you're out. So such countries, you don't need to process anything ahead apart from flying, getting an accommodation, and of course, money at hand. However, because of lack of proper knowledge in the country, Nigeria as a case study now, most people, through no fault of theirs, have believed that visas or traveling are a big deal. So when they reach out to agents, which is the general term in our line of business, travel agents. That's why we have travel agencies. When they reach out to agents, who in some cases are even branch off business people. Branch off in the sense that they had no prior training to get the job done. They only have access to internet and can charge people. One of such places is where you see adverts saying, pay 500,000 naira for instance, and pay your balance when the visa is done. They call it 100% visas. Now, you are not a consular. You are not the president of that country. You are not even the Minister of Interior. How are you telling people that visa is guaranteed? Maybe you have someone on the inside, which is even not supposed to be the ethics of the business. Or maybe you know somebody that knows somebody that can get it done. Now you realize that a visa fee that shouldn't be more than $200 at some point suddenly becomes like $1,500. And that's because the person you're reaching out to help you with the visa doesn't know how to do it. He would consult somebody, who will consult somebody, who will consult somebody till it gets to the final person. So as the movement goes, each person is adding their markup. Now, because of lack of knowledge in our country, the person applying doesn't even have the nudge to say, oh, let me even verify online how much the visa fee is. So we end up recycling such travel agents who don't even know what visas are. Ideally, what we do or what we should be doing most is visa advisory, not visa processing, because we are not consulars. Yes, there are some visas that you can sit down, process by yourself with the skill for processing visas. You understand? You can do that and it's successful. And over time, through your experience, you get better at it. But the major thing we should be doing as travel consultants or travel agents or travel professionals is advise people on visas. Because at the end of the day, we're not the ones issuing that visa. A clear scenario. At some point between, I think 2020 and 2023, there were these adverts that used to come where you have people saying that they can get you, I think it still even applies till date. They can get you American visa appointments and you pay for it. Now, when you do it by yourself, for instance, the visa fee might not be more than $100, for instance. But you realize that some people charge you like 450, 300,000 naira, aside you paying for the visa fee. Now, what they do is they log on to different places, systems, laptops, phones, and they keep checking for available dates all through the night. Now, when they keep doing that, the side effect is they bundle up the website of America, and it leads to backlogs, because there were some people who would have been scheduled for those dates that you are selling out to another person. So if you notice, around a period, we were getting so much denials. For some cases, it's a situation of, why are you in a hurry to travel? So it became a case of, if you just naturally feel like, oh, I've never been to America, I've been to other places, let me go experience this place. And it's not, leisure is not emergency. Leisure is just, oh, I feel like traveling. Like vacations. I want to go on vacation. I want to go see this place. It's not an emergency. So most of the times, the assessment is even done before you get to the interviewer. And because they made it so at some point that only emergency cases will be their priority, or their first point of granting visas to Nigerians, apart from those who are renewing, of course, we started to see a heavy case of denials for us in Nigeria. So, because people do not know how to go about things, and they don't even know the right people to go to, once you are a travel agent, they believe that you can do it. So now, basic knowledge. A visa is a document that is stamped on your passport that allows you stay in a country for a given period of time. That is the simplest definition of what a visa is. And we have different types, some of which are common to most people, which is the business and the tourism visa. Tourism is still the same as visit visa, but there are other types that are actually processed across the world. We have the student visa that allows you to go to school in another country. We have work or employment visas that allows you get a job directly from your country to go to another country. Then there are some professional visas that are also done in some countries. Like we have for people in media, where you get for US, for example, US issues the professional visa for media people or for journalists, where you can actually go into their country and work with that visa, because you are coming on the basis of you being a professional at what you do. There's a medical as well. Then we have the investor visa. Now, investor visa is such that if I want to go invest, say, in South Africa, you understand, they would look at what I have in Nigeria, how much I have. There are prices to it, by the way. Investor visas are usually expensive. So I take what I have, I use it to set up something in their country. And of course, it's welcome because you would employ people. You understand? We have them in Nigeria as well, where people come in to set up their own companies in our country. It's not necessarily that it's the government that pulls them in. They can just feel like, oh, in a country where we have so much talent in entertainment, in sports, like that. We want to come and set up like an entertainment company, for instance, and we will employ your citizens. But of course, we will come with our own people as well. You understand? So they reach out to the necessary part of the government, they facilitate the investor visa, they pay, they come in, they set up. Now, as an investor in a country, there are certain benefits that you can get. You get to stay for a period of time. Some even comes with you getting their passport issued to you as an investor. So part of it is what gave birth to dual citizenship, which most people used to do by going to live in a country. After a while, you become a citizen, or you give birth to a child there, the child automatically becomes a citizen. But from the wake of COVID, after COVID was done, we saw an increase in people buying passports of different countries, general terms. But ideally, what they do most times is they put the money like an investment into that country. So the country gives you something back, which allows you easy movement. But for some reasons, most Nigerians do not use those passports to actually do anything other than save themselves visa stress. So you are getting a St. Kitts and Nevis investment, or Grenada or Vanuatu, which are common, which are lower priced. It allows you access throughout Europe. So you know that anything you want to do in Europe, you just pack your bag, you buy your tickets, book an apartment or an hotel, or stay with a friend, and you're gone. Whereas if you're applying for visa, you fill, you pay agents, you go to VFS, you submit, you wait, they deny you, or they grant you. Either ways. But you know, taking off that load is first off your head, because you can pay to get it. Now, these things don't even come cheap. Some countries, $100,000, 130, 150, some as high as 250,000. But another advantage is you do it, your generation benefits from it. So we had so much of those in play from wake of COVID. And it even had a bad side, because at one point, people started to do the fake of it. So many people fell victim. So when someone says, oh, I have this passport for $5,000, it's cheap, where can I go with it? And you also allow the $5,000, you pay the person, the passport comes. But there are features in a passport that you will not readily see with your naked eye. But when it runs through scanners, it detects it. They hold you aside, the person is arrested, the agent runs away. So part of what I said, lack of knowledge earlier, is we don't even know the right things to ask, the right things to do. And unfortunately, we've become a country that most times give room to mediocrity, where someone who has no idea about a business or didn't learn it or study for it sets up the business. I mean, we have pharmacies and chemists in Nigeria that sell bread, that sell alcohol, and you're a pharmacist or a chemist. So if you were an actual chemist trained or a pharmacist, would you sell alcohol in your store? Because ideally, some of the drugs that you sell is even to prevent the dangers in the alcohol, but you still sell it. We have agents who pose as they can guarantee any visa. And because people do not know, they fall into their hands. So now, why do we get rejected so much on visas in Nigeria? So many reasons come to mind. However, one of the most common reasons is that we are not always prepared. There is a line of requirements that each country has for you to apply. Even our own country. You understand? Now, as I said earlier, any country you are going to that requires a visa, they want to know how you are doing in your country and who are you. Because of people who don't know how but want to be in business, an average Nigerian would just go look for money and take to such people. Now, documentation is where the first problem is. UK, for instance, asks for your bank statement 6 months. Some countries do 3 months. Some countries do not ask for. If you're employed, there's a list of requirements that applies to you. If you're self-employed, there's a list that applies to you. Now, if you're self-employed, you would need to present documentation of your company. Incorporation certificates, your pay slip, your ID, and all of it like that. If you are employed to maybe a corporation, a firm, even to the government, it follows suit as well. Then, of course, you have to show ties to Nigeria. That's one of the problems that we have. Now, when you say ties, if you're married, your family, history, evidence, pictures in place. If you are not married, slim chances, but you can still get it. Now, as a family man who is applying, they want to know if you come, would you go back to your family? Now, part of the going back ties is where your assets come in. What do you own? Landed property, buildings, they're assets because you own them. But you find out that people would now put cars as what they own. A car is a liability, not an asset. The price of a Range Rover today would most likely go lower tomorrow. The price of land would always go higher because as the area where the land is prospers or develops, the land has more value. In settlement geography, there's what we call land place theory, right? It teaches you that any piece of land that you have or that you buy or an area, what would come around that place that would give it importance, value, and would draw people to it. Let's take Ikeja, for instance. Ikeja is the capital for Lagos, right? That's number one value. Everybody wants to be in a capital city because by default, there's commerce, there's industry, and there's administration going on in Ikeja. So the whole of Alausa, administration. A part of Ikeja as well, Acme Road or Bakran towards Agba, you have so many industries around that side. Commerce, there's Computer Village, there's Oshodi, like that. So it naturally draws people in to come there. You get. Now, because of that, if you have a piece of land there or in Ikeja 10 years ago and now, you are rich. If the land is still vacant. So yes, they accept that Mr. A, who is applying for a visa, has a land that is valued at XYZ amount. So even if push comes to shove, if he goes back to his home country, he still has something to fall back on, and that's even a tie for him to go back. But if you are presenting a car, the car has next to no value for them. Another thing, your family, something has to draw you back to where you are living. Unfortunately, in most cases, it differs. Family doesn't draw some people back. Once they are gone, they are gone. Now, your finances. UK is a country that relies so much on taxes. So they have a systematic way they live. You wake, you work, you get paid, right? And when you get paid, everything is taxed. Bills, even your salary is taxed. But we are just coming to that part in Nigeria. Even with the new reforms, some people would still find a way to dodge. But in UK, you cannot escape your tax. So a country that relies on taxes and has a system in place for it, if you are presenting your statement of account, they want to see how you live. So when they ask you, how much are you expending monthly, right? Normal person, I spend like 500,000. How much do you make monthly? I make 5 million. Show me. Is it 5 million from one place, or it's multiple streams of income come to one amount? That's where you have your 5 million. But filling the form, understanding the question that is asked is one of the major things in visas. And that's why sometimes professional help is good. For you who is doing it by yourself, you may not necessarily be trained in that capacity. But for someone who is an expert at it, the person has had several situations, experiences, occurrences, and examples where they've applied for a visa for people and it's granted or is successful, and they use it to build up on the next one they're applying for. But ideally, if we take time to understand the questions asked in most of these visas, we would say that getting a visa sometimes isn't hard at all. Now, for some countries, they won't ask for so much. Just give us your passport page, give us a white background photo, an itinerary of flights, your accommodation, cash at hand, in some cases, travel insurance. Now, when they ask for itinerary, a regular visit visa, which is what is most applied for at times, has to carry a return ticket because you are going to visit, so you have to come back to your home country. However, some visas grant you the chance or the opportunity to fly one way. If you have a work visa or employment visa or a student visa, in which case for students, you are going for a period of at least maybe 1 year for your program. You might extend, the program might take longer than 1 year. So the issuing country knows that, yes, this person is coming to study. So there might be an indefinite period of time which you would stay, or you can't easily say at the time that this is when I'll be done with my program. And for work permits, if you are going to work in a country, definitely you are going to live there. So it comes with you having what we call residence permits. So for that, you can travel one way. But for countries where it is just visits, you have to come back to the country. Now, back to another thing that causes rejections for us so much in Nigeria. It's more of profiling not fitting the traveler. For instance, someone applies to America for a tourist visa, and in his form that he's filling, or in the form that was filled for him, because most times the applicants are not the one that, they don't even see the form. They just say, oh, what do you need? Take. And for some funny reason, some agencies do not return the form back to you to say, go through what we have filled in your name. So typical play, the person is presented as a doctor to carry weights, because doctors usually seem to have money, seems to be professional, they will always come back and all of that. So they presented the guy as a doctor. So the guy gets to the interviewer, and the interviewer is looking at, okay, you are a doctor. And he goes health-based questions. And this guy is lost. So how do you tell me you are a doctor and I'm asking you the simplest things and you cannot even answer? So it means that your profile doesn't even fit you because you are not who is in the profile. So it means that it was done by somebody who didn't even show you what was done for you. Or you are presenting a bricklayer as an engineer. Because the interviewer has the right to ask any line of questions. But what they will ask you mostly is what you have sent to them, that this is me. So you get there and you can't even defend yourself. So it's like me going for an interview now and I say I'm a travel consultant and my questions are based on what I say I do. And I'm keeping quiet. Or I'm asked, oh, how many countries have you visited? And I say none. So it means that what you help people do, you don't even do it for yourself. So profile not fitting the applicant is another reason. And it happens a whole lot. You'd be surprised that if you go to VFS, for instance, those guys that are always saying photocopy this, that, most of them actually say they are visa agents. And what they know is experience they gain from the documentation that they read every day, because they are within the premises of a submission center. So they come forth as, we can do the visa for you. Now, you who is wanting to really travel, you would throw money to them and they do what they want to do and they say, oh, you were denied. In some cases, you can't fight denials and you can't fight rejection. You take it as, it is well, we'll try again. Then there are people who, every visa that they do, they get it. And they don't even have any knowledge. They just study the requirements, apply for it, and they get the visa done. So there's been the need to train people, sensitize people on how to actually get visas done so we can reduce the rate of rejection in Nigeria. Because if you look at how much we pay as visa fees in this country in 1 year, you'll be shocked. As we speak, right now, there's maybe like 100,000 people submitting visas at different submission points across Nigeria right now. Some doing interviews, some getting rejected already, some getting their visas. So if we say 100,000 people apply daily at least, and the visa fee is 100 naira, and you say the figures will scare you, but we have more than 100,000 applying daily across Nigeria, and the cost is not 100 naira. we pay in hundreds of thousands to get visas. You'll be surprised how much some countries pay to come into your country. The country that you feel is not good. UK pays about $344 as their visa fee. America pays $185. It was reduced from $195. So many countries in Europe pay $288, some pay $278. And I used to think that UK was the highest, till I realized that some countries pay more than $400 to come into Nigeria. Yes, not everybody will travel, but it's good to just have the knowledge of what actually happens with this thing. We need to sensitize people who travel and make them know that it's a process. It's not something you can boycott. If they say we want this, give me this. But because sometimes we don't even have the requirements, is what leads us to going to people who will just take money and don't get the job done. Then you have the visa being passed from hand to hand. So Mr. A collects the money, sends it to B, who sends it to C, who sends it to D. As you're going, the money is increasing, because each person would want to get something as their own markup. At the end of the day, Mr. D who they are going to give might just be the guy in VFS that is doing photocopy, who knows nothing about visas. The requirements are there. Read. What does this country want? Do I have it? No. Go to another country that will take what you have. We are used to 5 countries that we love going to in Nigeria. Everybody wants to go to the US. Everybody wants to go to UK. Everybody wants to go to Canada. Everybody wants to go to South Africa. Everybody wants to go to Dubai. There are countries that would not even stress you for visas. Now, in our own line of business, we have those that we call DMCs, Destination Management Companies. We also in Nigeria are DMCs. Now, a DMC is a company in a country that you wish to visit or that your customers like to visit, but you can't get easy access into their country, so you reach out to them for help. If I'm processing a visa for a non-Nigerian, for instance, I know how it would be easier for the person, so I can help facilitate it. The person would most likely pay, and in some cases pay for a wrong visa. When we still had visas on arrival in Nigeria, I realized that most of the foreigners who come and say they can do it by themselves, they pay for the actual visa. They get a receipt, they land in Nigeria, they make them pay for visa on arrival all over. Because the actual visa is supposed to be you going to the Nigerian High Commission in your country, more like going to the embassy to apply and do like maybe an interview or something. But visa on arrival is you pay, you get receipts, you come to Nigeria, see your receipts, they stamp the visa on your passport. So for cases like that, it's ideal that we reach out to DMCs and say, oh, Tanzania, for instance, if you go and apply online, the visa fee is maybe it used to be $50. But we had series of cases where you apply, it stays for so long. No approval, no denial. It always just say pending, every time you check. And you can't deny your customers or your clients going to a country of choice. People like Tanzania, because why? There's Zanzibar, there's Dar es Salaam. Everybody wants to have a feel of, oh, I went to Zanzibar, blue waters and everything. So it became, okay, if we reach out to DMCs, they are in the country, they know their immigration officers, they know the immigration system, how it works better than we do. How do we come into partnership and you get us the visas? Now, what these guys do is, they help you process the visa, but they charge more. Now, their charging more is not to exploit you. They make you patronize them as well. So if I say I want to apply for a Tanzanian visa now, and someone is my DMC, he or she would say, okay, for helping you get the visa, you would equally patronize me with hotel and airport transfer. Now, they know the hotels in their vicinity, in their environment, so they can go to the hotel, book for you. Some would even help you go check the hotel that what is on the website or what you see online is actually what is in the hotel. So they are not only rendering a service to you, they are equally making money for themselves. But because they are in the country you want to go to, it's easier for them to get it done for you than you applying and just waiting endlessly online. So we have those we call DMCs who are always in partnership with us, different countries. We have in Dubai, we have in Kenya, we have in South Africa, Tanzania, Rwanda, almost every country where Nigerians go to. And there is no place on earth that Nigerians do not go to. I think it's even common knowledge that if you go to a country and you don't find a Nigerian, run away from that country. Because why? We love to travel. We love to go on adventures. We love to experience new places. But one of our major issues is visa. So gradually, we're getting better. I think our passport is now ranked number 82 or so. I think it's a two, if I'm correct. So you have a list of maybe new countries that are now added where we can go for free or we can go on arrival. Then there are e-visas as well. Kenya used to do e-visas. We used to do e-visas to get into Kenya before, but now it's visa free. Rwanda is visa free. Ghana, Ivory Coast, our Western countries within Africa, all are visa free for us.